Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Talking Politics.
3 weeks after the general elections, our elected MPs are finally set to start working.
Yeah, after much anticipation, the Election Commission has finally certified new party list MPs, Anutin Charnvirakul included.
And this was the moment that Kun Anutin received his MP certification. Right? He used the documents to tap his forehead 3 times, as if it was a very secret document.
Yeah.
I'm sure you must be wondering why he did that, right?
Yeah, why?
And he later explained to reporters that he did so because he considered being an MP a very honorable job. So he had to remind himself of the obligation by just tapping the document against his forehead.
Yeah, I guess in many cultures, tapping things against your forehead like that is a sign of gratitude as well. And so here are roughly the timeline. So within 15 days after the EC certifies all MPs and 95% of them have reported in, the inaugural parliamentary session can begin, which the next step would be to elect the Speaker of the House.
Yep.
And then the vote for the Prime Minister can maybe happen late March, early April.
Okay, and after that, or even before that, Kun Anutin will start forming his coalition. In fact, I think the process had already begun, but he still has been very evasive on the issue of what his cabinet would look like, despite persistent questioning by reporters on a daily basis. So every time he meets reporters this day, of course, the natural question is, who will be in, who will be out of your government, right?
Exactly. Of course, we will be closely reporting on who is in, who is out in Anutin Cabinet 2.0. So make sure you click that like and subscribe and follow button to keep up to date on Thai politics.
But at least for the next 2 days, the focus, the attention will be on Buriram province, one of the northeastern provinces of Thailand. Why Buriram will be in the news?
Well, that's because the Phumjai Thai Party meeting is set to happen in Buriram. It's 410 kilometers from Bangkok, the province actually, but it's now considered to be a political capital of Thailand.
Why? Because
it's the home of...
Because it's the homeland of the Chitchop family, the real power behind the Phumjai Thai Party. And of course, the real power that be is none other than Kun Nevin Chitchop,
the headmaster.
The headmaster, a veteran politician who is the real power broker of the party. All right, the fact that Kun Anutin will become the next prime minister for the second term, of course, is a foregone conclusion. There's no question about that. But the big question mark surrounding him, and this the question that reporters keep asking Kun Anutin almost every day, is whether or not he will also double as defense minister.
Anutin himself has been very evasive in addressing the question. He has not said yes, nor has he said no. But what is interesting is that early this week, he found it necessary to correct what he claimed to be a misinterpretation by the media of his remark about whether or not he would assume the post of defense minister.
What happened is this, a few days earlier, in answering questions on the issue about whether or not he will double as defense minister, Anutin said as prime minister, he would have responsibility over all the cabinet portfolios anyway, including defense minister, right? And that prompted the media to come to the conclusion that Anutin would not double as defense minister. And we saw headlines saying Anutin no to defense portfolio all over the media outlets.
Yeah, but he insisted that he did not in any way say that he would not take the defense portfolio as reported by the media. He said it was still too early to talk about the shape of his new cabinet while still waiting for the Election Commission to certify the election results.
Now the question is why many political observers and media outlets believe that Anutin would want to double as defense minister. So looking back, we have to admit that his Phumjai Thai Party's impressive election victory 3 weeks ago was due in no small part to the nationalism card the party played in connection with the border conflict with Cambodia. And that was seen in the context of his government's smooth ties with the military.
Yeah.
And Anutin, during the campaign, made strengthening the country's security a prominent part of his election campaign platform, which includes the construction of walls along sensitive border areas and introducing voluntary enlistment service.
Yeah, he also pledged to adopt proactive diplomacy alongside enhanced military capacity to protect the country's sovereignty and interest, while cracking down on online scam networks and the so-called great businesses.
Yeah.
So Anutin knows too well that he needs strong support from the military in managing all these challenges, especially when it comes to the ongoing conflict with Cambodia.
Now, in fact, since becoming Prime Minister last September, Anutin openly led the military in the driving seat in dealing with Cambodia. So we can say that Anutin and the military see very much eye to eye on the issue of conflict with Cambodia, unlike during the previous administration of Prime Minister Pat Thong Tan. Back then, of course, we all remember, the military seemed to be distrustful of her government because of her family's close ties with the Cambodian leadership, especially its strongman, Hun Sen.
Yeah, especially with, when that disastrous phone call came out, when Pat Thong Tan talked to Hun Sen, and she was even heard chastising an army general in charge of the border security for what she described as his macho conduct towards Cambodia. Political observers believe that Anutin would certainly want to maintain his rapport with the military, whose role in politics cannot be undermined. And on the other hand, the military also would have no problem to be directly under the command of a leader like Anutin.
And of course, in the long run, also his sympathetic ear when it comes to future arms procurements.
Yeah, that's always the issue that's talked about in every government.
That's
I
right.
mean, the relationship between the governments and especially the defense minister and the military.
So with all these things taken together, as of now, there's a strong chance that Anutin will double as defense minister in his second term in office. Don't forget that Kun Anutin is concurrently Prime Minister and Interior Minister.
Busy man.
Yeah, the position that has given him immense influence over a wide network of administrative agencies across the country. Of course, as Prime Minister, Anutin would already have his hands full with little time left to run the military on a day-to-day basis. So he is very likely, if he becomes Defense Minister, he would likely to have a deputy at the ministry, the Defense Ministry, to help him manage the day-to-day work. And that person is most likely again to be a retired general that is acceptable to the military top brass.
Well, he would be the 5th civilian prime minister to double as defense minister if it happens at all. Until recently, the defense portfolio was traditionally reserved for retired members of the military top brass, partly to ensure that the armed forces would not be under the influence of politicians. It was the Democrat leader Chuan Lik Pai who doubled as defense minister when he became prime minister in 1997. That was long ago. And the last civilian prime minister who also served as defense minister was actually Yingluck Shinawatra. Yingluck made history because she was Thailand's first female prime minister and defense minister.
Oh, wow. All right, now let's move on to the bigger picture. It may look like all is set in Thai politics, right?
Yeah.
But don't forget that the recent general election is not yet over in terms of questions being raised against a lot of irregularities that were alleged to have happened during the voting process. Right?
Yeah, the people are suing the EC. The EC is also suing the people as well. I mean, the complaints mainly focus on the ballot paper irregularities. And the lawsuits span from the Constitutional Court to the Administrative Court to the Criminal Court. I mean, 3 courts.
And central to all these complaints is the issue of the barcode or QR codes, right?
Yeah.
On ballot papers. Analysts have argued that these codes could potentially be traced back to individual voters, raising concerns that their votes might not have been truly secret.
Yeah, some people have actually tried to scan the codes and then try to link them to the person who voted or whatever. But according to Section 85 of the Constitution, members of the House of Representatives elected on constituency basis shall be chosen by direct and secret ballot. So the law is very clear.
Yeah. No, it's not just the Article 85 that is being the issue. There are actually more legal provisions involved.
Yeah.
But for simplification, we are just going to leave it at that for now. The People's Party, the main opposition party, is one of those who filed a case with the criminal court. And 3 representatives of the party filed the case in their capacity as eligible voters who are legally considered to be injured parties. So they believe they are entitled to pursue the case in the court.
Exactly. And in the administrative court, there's a lawyer, actually many lawyers and many groups, but we're going to talk about a case of a lawyer who's demanding that a new election be held. He also requested that the existing ballot papers be destroyed and that the certification of election results be suspended until the court delivers its ruling. I mean, that's got grave consequences. And then looking ahead, and the outcome could either be A, the court says that the measures explained by the EC are sufficient to justify protecting the voters' personal data, then the case ends there. But if it goes to outcome B, if it says the EC measures did not sufficiently protect the personal data of the voters, then the election can be ruled invalid and another round of elections must be held. So outcome B would be very expensive.
Option B would potentially cost taxpayers another 6.7 billion baht, around $214 million, which is the price tag of the last general elections in early February.
Expensive. Yeah. Well, throughout the history of Thailand, there were 2 occasions where the elections were declared invalid. One was in 2006 when the polling booths were set up to have its back facing outwards. So it meant that some people could actually see how the ballots were marked, and that was ruled invalid. And another one was 2014, but that was during a political conflict that did not allow for the election to happen at the same time nationwide. So that was invalid as well. Yeah.
It's obvious that the Election Commission is in the hot seat, but it's not just playing defense.
No.
The Commission has filed complaints with the Crime Suppression Division against 6 people who took photos of the ballot papers with the barcodes and QR codes. And the potential targets of these charges include Somchai Srisutiyakon, a former election commissioner himself, and Parit Vacharasin, a spokesperson of the People's Party, and the chief photographer at the Space Bar.
Yeah, which is a media company.
A media outlet, right?
Yeah, so the allegations range from Ang Yi to Section 14 of the Computer Crime Act.
It's very serious charges.
Ang Yi is a specific term, isn't it? It's a term used in allegations on anyone who is a member of a group that conceals its methods and intends to commit illegal acts. And the penalty carries a fine up to 140,000 baht and 7 years in prison.
And there is this Section 14 of the Computer Crime Act, which carries a penalty of up to 5 years in prison for anyone found guilty of entering false information into the computer system that may harm the public or national security.
Yeah, and then there are Section 322 of the Criminal Code as well. There's a penalty of up to 6 months in prison and fine of up to 1,000 baht. This is 1,000 baht is not much, but prison term. This includes anyone who opens or access another person's sealed letter, telegram, or document to read or disclose its contents where the act is likely to cause damage to someone. So the act of actually taking pictures of the ballot paper and put it out in public we don't know.
Yeah, in the eyes of the Election Commission,
Yeah.
that is a crime.
Yeah, so it's a labyrinth of allegations altogether, isn't it? But with that, I think we've covered the key points to illustrate that, yeah, it's not a simple matter.
And now let's move on to one particular person who has been in the news quite a lot.
The fashion icon.
We are talking about Kun Thammanat Promprao.
Yeah.
Once again, right?
Yeah.
There's no way you can escape from him.
Yeah, we talked about him last week, the chief advisor of the Glatam party. And, you know, we talked about how he's not being favored as one of the options for Anutin coalition government.
But that is not final yet, because Anutin has been asked repeatedly as to whether or not Kun Thammanat or Glatam party would be in his coalition.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, let's wait and see, let's wait and see.
Yeah, he didn't say no.
No.
Yeah, exactly. But those who oppose to Glatam, or more specifically Thammanat, have pointed to allegations of his close ties with a foreign businessman accused of involvement in scam operations. And the issue of alleged linkage was raised a few months back, particularly by Rangsiman Rom of the People's Party back in December last year, during a parliamentary session on Anutin's government policy statement. I guess the name of the people with alleged ties were widely reported, but we
have been careful not to mention his name.
Yeah.
We only refer to him as a businessman, a foreign businessman, more specifically a South African businessman.
But, you know, it's been widely reported in Thailand, and this week, the lawyer of the guy himself came out and defended his client.
Okay, it was Kun Withoon Kengngan,
Yeah.
the lawyer of Ben Smith or Benjamin Maoberger. I mean, as we said earlier, that a South African businessman who has been doing a lot of business in Thailand. And Kun Withoon talked to reporters after his client, Kun Ben Smith, has been issued an arrest warrant. And Kun Withoon, the lawyer, insisted that Ben Smith is not part of any scam network as accused. The case, he said, was a political issue. And the case, which should have been a simple criminal case, has been turned into a political case.
So Ben Smith and his wife were issued arrest warrants by the Central Investigation Bureau on charges of joint fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. But Withoon believes that Ben Smith is being used as a political tool to attack former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra and Thammanat.
Kun Withoon, the lawyer, noted that the speed with which the Central Investigation Bureau handled the case was unusually quick, because normally it would take, weeks, months. Years, before any action was taken in such case.
Yeah, but arrest warrants came very fast. Now, the lawyer, Kun Withoon, actually said that it's politically motivated. So Thammanat, the person being mentioned, obviously cannot just, sit by. So he came out to respond to reporters this week after he was asked about the accusation that he was involved in dealings with Ben Smith. So he insisted that the case occurred before he even knew Ben. And when further asked about rumors claiming that a senior official in the Ministry of Agriculture might be involved, Ministry of Agriculture is his ministerial portfolio, obviously. So Thammanat briefly replied, "What does it have to do with me?" And then he got into his car and left.
As widely reported, Kun Thammanat's perceived connection or alleged connection with Ben Smith was cited as one of the reasons by insiders in Phum Chai Thai party why Kun Anutin would not want Thammanat to be in his cabinet, because that could pose a potential risk if Thammanat is in his cabinet, and then somewhere down the road someone would raise this issue with the Constitutional Court.
Yeah, remember the case of Setha Sawisin? He was ousted because of the problem with the snack box lawyer by appointing.
Right. He brought someone with a conviction record into his cabinet and then paid the price.
Yeah.
being ousted as prime minister as a result. Yeah.
So that is a risk. That's why a lot of people in the Phum Jai Thai party and those close to Anutin, a lot of observers are saying that he's not favored because there's potentially there's a risk.
All right, so hopefully by next Saturday we'll be able to provide you with some list of who is in or who is not in the cabinet of Kun Anutin Charnvirakul.
And who's going to be the defense minister? We still don't know at this point, but hopefully we'll find out as the time comes. Thank you so much for watching Talking Politics. Make sure to subscribe and follow us so that you keep up to date with all the news on Thai politics. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.